Hello, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Kyle. I'm head writer at Pro-VIO, and today we're going to walk you through the SBIR program. That is the government's Small Business Innovation Research Program. SBIR was designed to help small businesses grow and earn non-dilutive capital by providing contracting opportunities with the U.S. government. To help me out today, I'm joined by Christina, whose official title, I believe, is Doer of Things and Stuff at Pro-VIO. We are ourselves a small business, and we all wear a lot of hats. Nobody wears more than Christina. She's client lead. She helps with contracting, coordinating outreach. Christina has a lot to do with a lot of what we do here. So without further ado, I will pass it over to her.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Kyle. As I said, I'm Christina Arrington, and I am the doer of stuff and things. I think they also call that the Director of Operations and Client Relations for Pro-VIO. Pretty much the big things I help with is getting to know you and your technology. I have a background in cellular biology, and I've worked in technology development most of my career. So I found that I'm pretty good at diving in deep and understanding your technology. And then we have an amazing team to work together to help understand use cases and apply that strategy to government problems. Here at Pro-VIO, that's one of the big things that we really value and specialize in, is that we want to help with your roadmap and your goals in your technology. And when we say things like non-dilutive capital, it's not just a phrase to us. It's a financing source that requires every bit as much thinking and effort as venture capital. So we want to make sure every step that we take with you is something that brings value to you and your team and your business. We do that in a variety of different ways. One, of course, is getting to know you, your technology, your goals. It's also supporting those. So we do what we call fractional business development. We do that in a way where basically we can help you in a way that makes sense for you and your business. You know, we're not a one shot fits all. We will do what helps you guys out. We do contract management to make whatever government work that you acquire seamless and smooth and easy. But again, the big thing we want to stress is that we take the time to understand your product development roadmap in order to align your work best with government opportunities.
Yeah, and so speaking of that, there are a lot of different opportunities that you can pursue in doing business with the government. Today, we're going to focus on SBIR, and we're going to dive deeper into that in just a little bit here. But really quickly, Christina, can you tell us just a little bit about some of the others?
Yeah, you bet. So there are, as Kyle said, there's a lot of different opportunities. SBIR we will go in depth with today, but there's others that are known as BAAs, that's broad agency announcements. These are usually long-term opportunities. They are usually fairly broad, and they often involve a little bit more R&D, but also are usually big contracts. Speaking of big contracts, there are also IDIQs, which are just what they sound like, fairly lengthy and big contracts. Both of those typically benefit from having development and relationships in the government prior, which is where the SBIR opportunity is a great opportunity to move you towards those bigger contracts. There is also things we call challenges or open competitions. Different sections of the Department of Defense specifically like to put out these challenges. They are a great way to get your feet wet because they're usually a pretty simple proposal process, and you often do a showcase in order to demonstrate your technology, or you have a webinar meeting similar to what we're doing today.
Yeah, so there are a lot of opportunities out there for small businesses that know where to look. We're going to go ahead and provide some links to those. You can find that on our website, pro-vio.com. We're going to put a lot of different information about those different opportunities there. But without further ado here, I think we should talk about the reason that we're here, which is the SBIR program. So again, that's Small Business Innovation Research. As Christina said, it's a great sort of starting block into doing some business with the government. So I'll just let Christina take over and tell us a little bit more about the SBIR program.
So as Kyle said, it's the Small Business Innovation Research Program, and it is actually across the entire government space that you can access SBIR opportunities. And the whole goal of the SBIR program is to engage with industry. It's this recognition that industry is taking off in the technology development space, that there are great ideas and great capabilities out there, and the government wants to find a great way to engage with you to solve their problems. So what they've done is they've created this program. It is either a 2 or 3 phase program, depending on which government entity you access. The first phase is pretty much the same across the board. It's usually a smaller award fee, and it's 3 to 6 months, depending on who, around a $50,000. But it is entirely, the entire purpose is a feasibility study, or another way I like to look at it is business development. So the great part about this is they're paying you to talk to government people in order to figure out, is your technology fitting the way you think it fits? Is the idea you have, the problem you think you can solve for the government, is that really it? At Pro-VIO, we also support you in that and able to, by helping you find who we think you should start talking to connect to those people, to start engaging with those people, because the goal, the ultimate goal during your phase 1 is to get what's called a Memorandum of Understanding, or an MOU. In that MOU, you recognize an end user, so this is the person in the government that's actually going to use your technology, and a customer. The customer is the person that's going to buy your technology. So you think acquisitions is your customer, that's the acquisition office is going to buy your stuff and provide it to the end user, who is actually the person in the field using your technology. So you find both of those people, they sign on and they say that we're going to do a phase 2 project with you. The phase 2 is usually a larger project, $750,000 to sometimes upwards of $1 million. And it's designed to be about a year to 15 months. And it's a demonstration or prototype situation. So you are expected to create and provide something to the government in these phase 2 situations. And it's based on whatever that user and customer and you decide during that first phase 1, what that's going to look like. So you then propose that, and if that's awarded, then you do that full demonstration. Assuming that goes well, in situations like the Department of Energy or USDA or NOAA, they typically end at a phase 2. But what they will help you do after that is move to commercialization. So they want you to sell that capability to the private industry and the private sector. So for example, USDA may have sponsored you in a program that you are addressing mid to small size farm. They will help you establish a customer base in mid to small size farms. On the flip side, if you are working in the Department of Defense space, after your phase 2, if you get sponsored to move on to what's called a phase 3, that's essentially commercialization, where you have a sole source contract with the Department of Defense to provide your technology. So this is a great opportunity for small businesses, and that's a huge example of what we refer to as the non-dilutive capital, because if you get on a sole source contract with the Department of Defense, they're buying your technology from you. And that, I think, sums up kind of the 3 phases of a SBIR.
Yeah, so basically, it's really good to know about these opportunities. You know, the government is, like Christina said, actively looking for these dual use technologies that can both solve a government problem and then also be widely commercialized afterwards. I think one of the things that we help with here at Pro-VIO is that a lot of companies, especially small businesses, just don't exactly have the resources to put a full-time person kind of to understand the RFPs and what exactly these organizations are looking for. And the application process for this, depending on the government organization, depending on which phase you're on, is going to be kind of different. So Christina, can you talk a little bit about what that SBIR application process looks like?
Yes. And one thing that Kyle alluded to right there is that sometimes just navigating through this space can be complicated. The government tends to talk in letters, in which once you start working in this space, you will do that too, which Kyle just did with the RFP. In case you have not heard that term, it's a request for proposal. So that means the government has a funding opportunity out there, and they are asking people to provide that. The SBIR opportunity is a request for proposal. It comes out multiple times a year with every entity. So you do get to go through this each time. As Kyle said, it does look very different, but in those solicitations, they will give you a sheet and it will tell you exactly what you need to put in there. Typically, there's going to be a cover sheet of some sort that's going to have your registration information, your business, your DUNS ID, your ENID, all of that kind of contact information, and some sort of abstract of what your proposal is. You will then have a technical volume. That will get bigger and bigger as you go further and further into the phases. In a phase one, it's usually a 5-page paper. And in that, you're really looking to explain very clearly to them what the government problem you're solving is, why you are the person to solve it, meaning your team and the technology that you have, and what are the commercial applications of your technology, both for the government and the private sector. So as Kyle mentioned, they do want to see that if they fund this, there is opportunity for this technology to go somewhere. After that, you also will put in a cost volume, and then you will have a slide deck, which is kind of a presentation. In some cases, in the past, they've done pitch day events where you would stand up and give that presentation, and in other times, you just send in the slide deck in which the evaluator can flip through your slides. And then a handful of ancillary documents that you need to sign and agree to, and those kinds of things. And then you package that up and submit that through what's called the DSIP website. And that is kind of the process.
And then you wait and you cross your fingers, hope for the best.
And they do not tell you the day that they are going to announce when you win. So you just wait patiently and you check back at DSIP a lot.
Yes. But there are some things that you can do to make the strongest arguments and to put yourself kind of at the forefront of a judge's mind when it comes to selecting these technologies. Christina had touched on it briefly there, but there's basically 3 categories that they want to see that you've got a really strong argument in. And for a lot of the SBIR organizations, they're through the Department of Defense. So for those, they're going to need to see a DoD need, an area where current technology isn't meeting the defense need. They're going to need to see commercialization potential and that team and technical approach. Christina, do you want to go a little bit maybe more in depth on some of those?
Sure. Yes. So the government need, and agree, there's definitely a lot of Department of Defense SBIRs, but also whether you choose to do USDA or Department of Energy or NIH SBIRs, you want to make sure you really understand the need. In a lot of the SBIRs, they will put down what's called a focus area, which they're basically telling you what the need is. They're saying, we want this. This is our problem. And that's the problem your technology fits. So you want to make sure you're very specifically addressing that need. And another great thing to add in before that to make sure you understand the need is to do that a little extra of that background research. So you understand what, if it's the Department of Defense, for example, what office in the Department of Defense needs this? Who's there? Who can I name as an entity to show that I really understand the need and the mission set? And it's okay to reach out to those offices even before submitting your phase 1 and say, help me understand your need, help me, talk to me, explain what's going on. Navigating that space can sometimes be tricky and challenging because there are rules on if you're applying to SBIR or any government proposal, what they can say to you. The great thing is after you get your phase 1 SBIR, suddenly everybody can talk to you and you have more of a license and free reign to say, I have a phase 1 SBIR, I'd like to talk about this problem. The other two areas, as Kyle said, are technical merit. So again, kind of why are you able to do this? So this is where you want to talk about your technology in the past. If you have key customers that you can call on to say this, we did this great thing for customer X and it was fabulous. And then in the future, we think as we expand this, it will do this great thing as well. So you want to say that your technology has been successful already and that it has a lot of room to grow. And then so that's kind of following that dual use. So you have the military side and the commercial side where you're capable of expanding. And then you want to talk about your team's ability to do that. So who you guys are, why you're experts in what you do. So you'll have a bio section to include that information.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that was good. So if people are looking for kind of resources to, like you said, do that kind of back end research as they're thinking about going into this, what are some places where they can look?
Well, I think a good starting place is in the solicitation itself. If you're applying specifically to a SBIR focus area, so when, let's say this coming January, when they release the RFP, request for proposal, that detailed instructions will come out and then they will have topic areas with focus areas underneath. So kind of broader topics that get smaller. Each of those will have what they call a TPOC, which is a topic point of contact. So that person is essentially the person that you should start with. Before you reach out to that person, they usually will have their office there too. So whether they are, at Air Mobility Command or Civil Engineering or Air Force Research Laboratories or whatever they might be a part of, it's going to say that. So you can Google that and then find out a little bit about what that office does, see who they are. Another great option is if navigating that space doesn't seem easy, you can, of course, reach out to people who can help you with that, like us.
Yes, there are a lot of different consultants who are in this space. What makes Pro-VIO a little bit different is that we've got people with experience, on both sides of this. So we have submitted an awful lot of proposals. Members of the team have been involved on the other side as well. So we just come at it with a lot of experience, and along the way we've sort of developed a sort of process that we like to use. And maybe Christina, you can talk a little bit about that.
Sure, you bet. So, I think one of the key things that we like to do is to get to know your technology. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of have a mentorship type of meeting with you to understand you, your roadmap, who you are, what your technology is. And then we're going to, as a team, as Kyle mentioned, we have a lot of different expertise and background in different areas of working in the government space. So across multiple sectors there, as well as in technology scale up on the private sector side. So we're able to kind of talk about your technology and come up with a real strong strategic opportunity and use case for you. So after we do that, then we start going through this process of saying, okay, we've got the use case. Then we're going to help identify some of those early people that you would talk to and have those for your proposals. Say you've already started looking through this. Here's some end users, here's some customers. And really before you even submit that phase one proposal, we're gonna have that outlined for you of like, this is who you're gonna start talking to and this is how you're going to start engaging. And of course, as you're doing that, the road may change and they may have different ideas, but you will have at least a plan for phase one as you head into that. And then we will engage our proposal team, who are phenomenal proposal writers, and they are excellent at taking that use case that the strategy team has come up with and worked with you on and turning it into an award-winning proposal. And then we have great contracting specialists that make sure everything is zipped up tight and that all the pieces are there, all the compliance is in place, and your proposal is submitted according to the guidelines.
And with a process like the SBIR, it can seem a little bit overwhelming, I think, for new companies and small businesses to kind of jump into that. And that's where, at least for us, that methodical pathway is really, really important and helps us to navigate it, even as sort of SBIR, sometimes little requirements might change between one proposal and another proposal. And we've just got that team that's in place already. And we've got our fingers kind of on the pulse, and we can sort of watch all of that as it comes down the pike. So I think that's pretty much all that I had right now for the basics of the SBIR program. We've asked a couple of our clients to give us a couple of sort of frequently asked questions that maybe they were wondering beforehand. So definitely stick around if you want to hear some of those. Otherwise, like I said before, you can always give us a call, contact us directly. Our website is www.pro-vio.com. Contact information is there. So Christina, are you ready for the rapid fire lightning round?
As ready as I'm going to be.
Great. So what if a company is pre-revenue?
If they are pre-revenue. Okay, so that is interesting to navigate, because typically the SBIR program does like to see something that is previously commercialized. So there's a few different options there. The STTR is a subsect of the SBIR program, which very similar, falls under the same umbrella, but it's looking at development as well. And that you partner with a university, and there is more funding for something that is still in the development stage. If you are a little further down, you're not really still in the development stage, but you haven't totally gotten to revenue, you've got a commercial product, you're ready to go, you can still propose a SBIR, and you just sort of explain the merits of your technology the best that you can. And I think that would be how you would go about that.
Okay. What if your use case changes halfway through? Do you ever see that, where a company can go in thinking that their SBIR proposal will be one thing, and then seeing it advance kind of a little bit differently than they thought?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that quite a few times, where you put in your phase 1 SBIR and you think you're applying for this amazing opportunity, and you're awarded that SBIR. And then once you start that business development process, where you're actually engaged with the government members, you find they have a very different idea of what that technology can be for. And the ultimate goal is to establish an end user and a customer in the military. So I think that's really great feedback. That's why the SBIR program has the phase 1 feasibility study. So, and they do encourage the team members to engage with the innovators that have SBIR awards, in order to say that, like, I like that idea, but I'd really like that idea if it was this. So there's times that your phase 2 proposal, you have a customer and end user, but it's substantially different than what your phase 1 was. And that's okay, as long as you use that money to do the business development, do the feasibility study, and come up with a customer and end user that are ready to move forward with a demonstration, then you're good to go.
Okay. So our SBIR awards are fixed price contracts. Can you explain a little bit what that means?
So a fixed price contract, pretty much what it sounds like, that's all the money you're going to get. So if your cost volume, or turns out your costs are widely different than you anticipated them, you're still only going to get the amount of money agreed on. And you're still expected to fulfill your side of the contract. So you definitely want to make sure you're doing your cost volume accurately as you can, and make sure that you're paying attention to that detail of what you need and what you're presenting. So.
Okay. So last question. Why don't more companies apply for this kind of route for funding?
Well, I think that's a good question. I would honestly say I feel like it's because engaging with the government feels very complicated. And in some cases it is very complicated. There are a lot of boxes to check and hoops to jump through. And sometimes that can feel very overwhelming. It can also be very expensive, particularly if you don't know what you're doing. And then you end up spending a whole lot more time doing or redoing the proposal costs. So, I mean, again, that's where whether it's Pro-VIO or someone else, engaging people that understand the space can be very useful, even if it's just in a mentorship capacity where you're learning and understanding. The other side is it's not a fast process. As even with the SBIR program is a great way to get in with the government, whichever space you choose to go into. It's not fast though. So you apply for your phase 1, and that's a 3 to 6 month feasibility study. So you've got 3 to 6 months to do business development, which is great. And then you've got your next one. So then you get that, and then you apply in the next cycle for your phase 2, and that's another 1.5 years to do your demonstration. And then you get your sole source phase 3 contract application in. So realistically, even going through the SBIR process, you're looking at a couple of years. So it takes some time commitment to do this and do it well. It's a very lucrative opportunity if the business is willing to put the time into it, though.
Sure. I mean, it's probably going to be a lot like any sort of funding. Any sort of startup needs to have a medium long-term plan, and I think including the SBIR and other government opportunities as well into that plan is definitely beneficial for the companies that do it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's all we've got today. We will be posting more videos and more things like this to just sort of answer some of your questions about SBIR and other government opportunities. But until then, thank you for watching, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you.